Hi, everybody. Happy October. I wanted to share with you a little bit today about the braided essay form and read to you from The Perils of Girlhood. That's the title essay in my memoir and essays, and it is indeed a braided essay. So braided essay is exactly what it sounds like. It brings together 3 or more different strands to offer a more cohesive look at a topic, to kind of come at something from various different angles. In my own essay, The Perils of Girlhood, it brings together 3 strands. You've got the true story of the murder of 2 adolescent girls in nearby Delphi, Indiana in 2017, the fear culture in the 1980s, as well as my own experiences as a mother of a daughter with seizures. So that last part explores my life from kind of 2 different areas, both the near present and then the farther past when my daughters are even younger. So what I'd like to do is read to you a little bit from The Perils of Girlhood, and then share with you a couple observations about the form, and also share a couple magazines that are interested in braided essays, and talk with you about a brief writing exercise that you might want to try as you draft your own braided essay. So this is from The Perils of Girlhood. The bodies of Liberty German and Abigail Williams were found in a wooded area about 50 feet north of Deer Creek in Delphi, Indiana. They weren't far from the old Monon Trail, where Liberty's older sister dropped them off the middle schoolers to go hiking on an unseasonably warm day on February 13th, 2017. Liberty excelled in math and science. In all the newspaper photos, the 8th grader's broad face grinned wide with confidence. Her corn silk colored hair hung in loose waves, maybe unbrushed or maybe just indifferent. Liberty was also the one who carried a cell phone with her that day. She loved softball, and that year Abigail had promised to join Liberty's team. At 13, Abigail was a year younger. In the photo printed in the newspaper, she wore a sundress with an oversized sun hat. A 2-inch band of fabric at the crown matched her dress. Her teeth were nubs, not yet fully grown. Everything I learned about them came from newspaper articles I read and reread. That was 4 years ago, when my twin daughters were 8 and years away from being teenagers. Now they are 12, just 1 year younger than Abigail, and I have become a crucible of fear. When a TV show featured a special on Liberty and Abigail in April 2020, I didn't let the girls watch it, but I did. Riveted by the screen, I tried to make sense of the murders. We live 20 miles from Delphi in West Lafayette, Indiana. We moved here in 2010 after living in Philadelphia while my husband finished school and I worked as a freelance writer. In between time at my desk, I took care of our girls. In the mornings, I pushed them in a double stroller to Fairmount Park, which we nicknamed Tree Park because it was hidden beneath a towering mass of craggy oaks. During afternoon strolls, we bumped along cobblestone streets southeast of our apartment, past $1 million flats to Schuylkill Park. There were only 2 baby swings, so I placed the girls in one swing back to back, like some chubby 2-sided mammal. Then, in December, at 13 months old, Eva had her first seizure. Despite subsequent testing, the doctors never could provide a reason for Eva's initial life-threatening seizure, one that left her intubated, a respirator tunneling up and down, breathing for her. All of this alerted me to my daughter's mortality. One of the reasons we moved to Indiana was because we thought it would be a safe place to raise our girls. For a while it was. They were 8 when Liberty and Abigail were murdered. I've read numerous articles about the murders, searching for some shred of evidence, some hidden rationale for this crime. But the more I read, the faster the details fade, like water smearing ink on a handwritten letter. The girls were hiking alone on a day off school. Liberty was actively posting on Snapchat as they walked. I imagined them goofing around, teasing each other about crushes, asking if they like the latest song by Dua Lipa, maybe singing a few lines at the top of their lungs. I see them on the bridge, and then I see myself walking with my own best friend from junior high. 30 years earlier, and it could have been me or my classmates. It could still be my daughters, their friends. I've shared these concerns with my husband. What if the murderer is living in our midst? How could we keep our daughters safe? He looked at me, my arms full of a stack of folded clothes, then gently said that we couldn't live that way. And I thought, but we will. We do. All women at some point fear. Images of my own daughters blanket our refrigerator. In the girls' preschool photo, they wear matching corduroy dresses and hold hands. Jolie wears a headband that highlights her apple-shaped face. Eva's lips are pursed together like a walnut as she blows a channel of air at an unforeseen yellow ducky. Meanwhile, the school photographer stands behind her camera and squeezes the toy as she prepares the shot. "Blow on the ducky," she says to the girls, and my daughters, obedient as ever, comply. One day soon after the murders, the girls were with me as I exited the grocery store when a pickup truck with wheel wells taller than their heads jerked forward and nearly hit Eva. I grabbed her by the shoulders and yanked her close to me. "That truck could have hit you," I yelled. The truck had passed, so I turned around, pointed. "What would happen if you were hit?" "I'd get run over," Eva said. "You'd be crushed," I announced, wanting her fear to match or exceed my own. The truck grumbled away, its gruff sounds gradually fading. "When we leave the house or the car, you should not be looking at your shoes. You should be taking stock of what's going on around you." "What's taking stock mean?" asked Jolie, turning her head like some wind-up toy. "It means taking note of, noticing. Does that make sense?" "Uh-huh." I pushed the grocery cart to the door and opened the trunk. The girls darted for their doors. Groceries in cloth bags, a peerless sky, birds twittered overhead as the giant flag at the front of the grocery store flapped. Somewhere in Delphi, 2 women sat waiting for the murderer of their daughters to be brought to justice. Their eyes were blurry and headachy, and in this way time passed. Maybe one spooled yarn to keep her fingers busy. The other could be tapping a fingernail against an empty can of soda. Another day. My daughters slammed their car doors. I heaved the bags into the trunk. Already they had begun to fight over whose turn it was to read the same book they'd been reading all summer. It's a graphic novel about a girl with embarrassing braces and an awkward existence. "It's my turn," said Eva. "You read it before." "But I didn't finish it," said Jolie. I glanced at them in the rearview mirror, yanking the paperback between them. As they argued, everything inside me stiffened. I centered on the chirpy sound of their voices, brilliantly alive. So that was just the first couple pages of The Perils of Girlhood. And as you notice, there's a couple different strands there. And when you're writing a braided essay, the form itself is a good one to choose if maybe you want to explore something that you don't really yet understand, or it just feels so large that you aren't quite sure how to approach it. And so a good way to approach challenging material is to often use additional stories, and in placing them alongside yours, there's a certain sense of reflection and reaction that help us understand your own personal story. So you can think about a braided essay as similar to a braid that would be in your hair. Initially, they usually have about 3 strands, but you could always add more strands into your piece and end up deleting one. What you want to always do when you're writing, whether it be a braided essay or some other piece of writing, is you want to focus on the energy. What is it about this essay that you're drawn to? What is it that you're most excited to draft? You want to bring in the thinking work. The braided essay is interesting in that it works through that juxtaposition of these different narratives that you're placing beside one another. The Perils of Girlhood does include some moments where I purposefully kind of connect the dots for readers, but there's also a lot that's left unexplained, or that's offers a space break and gives readers a chance to kind of let information settle with them. Again, I find the braided essay form helpful when I really want to puzzle through something, or maybe I'm faced with an idea, like in the Perils of Girlhood, when I'm exploring this notion of fear and how one's experiences with fear, specifically a woman's experiences with fear, can follow her throughout her lifetime. In my own experience, it's definitely affected my mothering. And so in a braided essay, you're kind of letting yourself come to the page with these questions. And then you're looking for images and objects that can be repeated to add additional unity to the piece. There's a couple different essay magazines that really love braided essays. The Sun, Brevity, Hippocampus, Long Reads, River Teeth, Craft. They all really routinely publish braided essays, and they seem to like the form. If you are interested in trying your hand at a braided essay, let's say you have a personal essay or a personal experience that you want to write about, what I would encourage you to do is go ahead and draft a little bit about that personal story, and then maybe isolate the time period when that story takes place. Maybe it takes place when you were from age 40 to 42, or maybe it was from when you were 15 to 18, or maybe the whole piece takes place from the ages of 6 months when you were 25 years old. What I would then do is just set a timer for yourself, and then go ahead and compile a list of events that were taking place during that time period. Look for current events, look for the top news stories, and then see if any of those strands would work to not just add information about the particular era that you're writing, but would also offer resonance to your personal story. So really have fun with it. Let yourself go during that research. See what comes up, and then as you find a couple news stories that maybe are of interest to you, go ahead and let yourself dive a little bit deeper into the research and see how when you place your story alongside another current event or two, see what the ultimate effect is. If you're interested in exploring this notion of girlhood, I am teaching a workshop through the Lafayette Writers Studio on Thursday, November 20th. It's called I'm Just a Girl, and it's writing girlhood. It's a 2-hour deep dive. It's a generative workshop that's going to be open to writers of poetry, fiction, and nonfiction, where we'll kind of unpack the idea of girlhood, the lessons that we have brought with us, and explore writing that takes on this topic as a way to redefine our own girlhoods. Thanks so much for coming. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.